Welcome to MMA Fancast. As always, my name is Luke, and I am excited to welcome not one, not two, but three of the Cahill brothers to MMA Fancast. A big first-time welcome to Tanner and Toby, and a re-welcome, having him back on the show for the third time, is Taylor. Taylor, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's nice to see you, Luke.
I'm
happy to be here, and I'm happy to have my brothers with me.
I am excited to have you guys on the show coming from the shop, your gym. Really excited to be catching up with you and, of course, to be introducing your brother. So it's really great. Let's start just a little bit. You had a good first debut win there for 247 Fighting Championship. So just now that you've had about a month, what do you think? Or what do you think about it now, about a month later?
I'm happy with the result, but not with the method of victory. I would say that maybe I didn't understand the pace going in, and the goal was to hit him first and get him to the cage, which I did. Once I felt kind of his wrestling ability, his strength, and just kind of his feel, I immediately took it to the ground because I thought I could finish it instantly. And the problem with that was I kind of burnt my arms out a little bit. I tried, I think, 6 submissions and just was missing some fine details that I don't think will happen again. But I didn't trust my hands as much as I should have. And if I would have trusted them like I did in the second round, I probably would have finished them inside of a minute. So it was good. I don't think like a lot of amateur prospects like myself get that amount of cage time and ride the highs and the lows of the fight this early in their career. So I think that it was really good to put it all together. And I think the next fight I'm out, I think I'll finish the guy in the first round.
Absolutely. Everybody loves to watch sub-minute finishes, but particularly as an amateur, you need cage time. And like you said, you got really good cage time where you were dominating, and you also got some cage time where you were a little bit gassed out and had a grunt, you had to kind of gut through it towards the end there and got a really great decision win. Well, one of the reasons why we're having you and your brothers on the show tonight is that right after, it's kind of a great thing, 247 Fighting Championship is scheduled for August 21st at the Cambria War Memorial in Johnstown, PA. And let's talk a little bit about that, because you called for that very thing to happen right here on this show. I interviewed you in the parking lot at Monroeville Convention Center. I interviewed just right after your fight was over. I interviewed you for a couple minutes, and you threw that arena by name out and said, let's do it. How excited are you that 247 is bringing it to your hometown?
I'm excited. It's kind of just something you manifest, and that was a plan, and that was the goal, and that's where we wanted it. And, if you do good enough and, you can back it up, I mean, you kind of call a little bit of the shots and you kind of finesse some things. So Ryan was in on it, and I mean, we're going to sell it out. So why not?
And that's
the area needs it. The area needs it.
It'll be great for the Johnstown area. That's one of the reasons why we're going to get the word out. The Cahill group, I'm sure, will be out in force. And also there's going to be a lot of other great fighters from the area, particularly Gorilla House Gym, which is a different gym entirely. They've got Ethan Goss and a bunch of great fighters out of there. But getting back to you guys, you are all listed as coaches at the shop, but I know you're a wrestling, MMA, kind of, you do a bunch of stuff at the shop. So talk to us a little bit about your role at the shop, and then as we introduce your brothers, we'll also see what they do at the shop and what's going on with that.
So right now our role is just primarily just wrestling.
Okay.
We started, I don't know if I ever mentioned before, we started in a small room in Somerset, PA, and it was like a 21 by 15, ended up growing, and we started getting too many guys that we couldn't fit in there. And it got to a point where we would just throw 2 guys out and everybody else would just sit on the side and watch, and we just go best takedowns. So when we expanded, our goal was just to have a club that cared about kids and a club that you could see kids progress. I know a lot of times they pay an arm and a leg for a club just to wear a singlet, and it's a shame because a lot of clubs in the area are really like more of a monopoly. So we were happy to bring that to the area. So that's kind of our role. We're just trying to make the best club we can for the area and produce state champions.
Absolutely fantastic. How many club members, students, children do you currently have coming in and out of the shop?
What would you say?
Wrestling probably like 20, 25.
Yeah.
And I'd say with
Jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu about 10 to
10 to
15.
15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll get big groups and then some days will be smaller. It all depends on if it's nice outside. But we're here
Tempo's starting
anyway.
to grow a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, Kempo karate has grown as well. So
I know you guys are very serious about improving wrestling. Like you said, you want to create state champs out of the shop and really uplift the juvenile sub 18 wrestling, which is just really great. Introduce us to your BJJ coach, since you mentioned BJJ, and I'll ask him some questions now. Good evening, sir. Thanks for being on the show. Oh, it's
Nathan
great.
Witt.
What's your name?
Nathan.
Nathan, Coach Nathan, it's great to have you on the show. How long have you been connected to the shop, and what is your excitement about bringing jiu-jitsu to an already established wrestling program?
I started with these guys in, I think it was November
Yeah.
of last year. And having the wrestling background, they've pretty much had that. It's grappling. I mean, no matter what you do, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, it's still grappling. So they have a acumen for that already. So it's not hard to expand that and make it, a little more finesse and just a little more control. And it's actually have to do a little bit less as wrestler, because you're working so hard for positions. You actually have to tone that off and actually worry about just maybe, giving a little bit to get a little bit. So things like that. But I have about 15, 16 years of experience in jiu-jitsu. I'm from New York State, and I just moved here last year. So I've been waiting for an opportunity to do this for years. And then I met these guys, and this just kind of materialized. So it's been wonderful ever since.
That is always great to see the culture of combat sports, martial arts. People meet each other and click, and it's a great opportunity for you and for obviously all your athletes. Are you focusing on the under age 18 wrestling jiu-jitsu, or are you also coaching adults into more of the MMA?
Anybody comes in. We got kids, I got 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, students, and then we have adults. Hopefully, maybe sometime we'll have a senior citizen class. Well, who knows? Who knows? We're open for anything.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
it's always great. Welcome to the area to you, and I think it's always great when you can bring jiu-jitsu into Johnstown, PA, which is obviously already established in wrestling, and kind of really build up its jiu-jitsu element right there in the shop. And I think it's a fantastic thing. And I'm sure kicking off with Taylor and David for 247 in May, and now coming up in August, I'm sure more and more fighters at the already competitive stage are going to come out of the shop. So what is a reason for a parent to get a child, because that's really what you're talking about. What is a reason for a parent to get a child involved in jiu-jitsu if, let's say, they're already on a competitive wrestling program?
It adds a lot of dimension, discipline. It's the finishing of wrestling. Okay, in other words, you have the base, you have wrestling. It's you're looking for takedowns. It expands on that. You're going after the whole body. There's nothing off limits. You can go for the legs. You can attack the head. You can attack the arm. There's no limitations. You're comfortable on your back. Whereas wrestlers, they're avoiding that. We welcome that. So it gives them a stress inoculation. It builds confidence. It gives you it toughens you up. It adds that the positionings there, and so you get the confidence. I would say that's the number one thing. You learn the discipline, and the confidence is really key for that. In martial arts, but especially in jiu-jitsu, because things are hard. When you first start in your first 6 months, you're getting grinded. You're getting usually beat. So you have to learn that discipline and that get into that culture and cultivate your skills. And it takes time. And so discipline and determination and toughness, I would believe would be the best calling card, I guess you could say.
Well said, Coach. Thanks for taking time out to introduce yourself and also the BJJ side of the shop. So I appreciate you. I think we're going to head now to one of the other brothers. Okay, Taylor, who are we talking to next?
We'll get Tanner there.
All right.
As big as you.
Welcome, Tanner. Now I know that you are already ready to fight MMA. You've been wanting to fight MMA. You tried to get on the May 247 fighting chip card and it didn't work. And you're going to be fighting in your home area in August 21st. So let's jump in with there. How long have you wanted to take a debut fight? How long do you think you've been ready to make your debut?
Oh man, since I was like 16, to be completely honest, man. It's probably been about 10 years.
Wow.
But no, realistically, I was ready to step in May of last year. Got banged up wrestling. It happens, got cleaned up. It was a little meniscus surgery. Yeah, man, I've been ready to fight for a long time. I've just kind of there's always just been some sort of reason why I couldn't fight. Now I'm 26 years old. I'm in my prime. I'm feeling good and I'm ready to showcase myself.
Absolutely. And obviously you come from all of the Cahill brothers come from a Division I wrestling background, and you did wrestling at 2 D1 programs, Bloomsburg and Pitt Johnstown.
Well, Pitt Johnstown's Division II.
Okay. Division
I
II.
wrestled 3 years
But
at Division I.
The premier Division II.
There you
Yeah,
go.
they're the best D2 school in the country, year in, year out. So I transferred back home at the end of my career because I wanted to be, I was sick of driving, 4 hours to go wrestle somewhere, but
Well, no, and I think it makes sense. I coach track and field for a Division III school, and so I think all the divisions have something to offer athletes depending on the competitive level and what's good for them. So
especially that coin, you know what I mean?
oh yeah, absolutely. It all makes a difference. So for you, with the wrestling experience you have, what was the best, most fulfilling wrestling experience in college before you got into the MMA? And obviously you run the shop now and all that, but what was your best, most memorable moment in college?
I would actually say it was probably, believe it or not, it was a loss. It was a loss I took at the Midlands, which, if you know anything about wrestling, it's a really tough Division I tournament. Probably the toughest tournament in the country. It's arguable. But I got to go down. I was invited to go down. We took 3 guys from our team, and I was feeling pretty good with myself. Went down there, got an easy win in my first round. Was feeling good, and then I was wrestling the number 5 guy in the country, Chris McCarty. Tough guy. He was wrestling for Old Dominion.
He fights now too.
He's fighting now too. Yeah, he's doing pretty well. But he was just better. He was a better wrestler than me, and I believe I was down 4-1. Ended up rallying back, losing 5-4. Just about beat him. I mean, it was on the buzzer. I could have got a takedown, but ran out of time. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, man, like I'm right here. I'm a true freshman. I'm wrestling at the Midlands, and I'm wrestling a guy who's number 6 in the country. He went on to place 3rd in the Midlands, which is awesome. And that he placed, I think, 5th in the country at the end of the year. But the moral of the story, I guess, was that I finally actually believed that I could beat guys that were that good, because before then it was kind of like, these guys were here and I was down here, but I'm beating all the guys I'm supposed to, but not the good guys. And I was like, wait a minute, like, there's nothing special about this guy. I can beat him today, and I think that was a big movement in my career, like in making me, realize that I was at a high level.
Well, it also really shows you as an athlete and as a person to have the humility to pick a loss because of what it meant to you. The value you took from it isn't always in wins. It's in it's the meaning you created from that experience. It's just like how I think a lot of times wins can sometimes lead athletes, fighters, wrestlers to train less. We've seen that with some of the UFC guys where they win, they're champions of the world, and the meaning they create from that is not a good meaning, because it's a meaning that says, oh, look, I can do what I want now. So it's always good when you can have that mindset, that healthy mindset. What do you want from MMA? Here you are ready to make your debut. We'll get you on again to talk predictions of that fight as it gets closer, but I'm talking, what would you like to get out of MMA as a new sport for you, or newer sport for you?
Well, I guess first of all, I mean, first and foremost, I want to be a world champion, man. Like I don't want to be second place. So
Cahill brothers, I'll tell you.
World champion. But also, you know, I'm kind of sick of my day job, you know, 50, 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. It sucks, man, you know, and if I got to whoop someone's ass to get out of that, sign me up, dude. If all I got to do is beat one guy in a cage to not do what I do every day, which is steel working, which sucks. Yeah, I 100%, dude. So yeah, man, I mean, I would really like to take care of my family too. You know, I'm sick of just getting by, you know, and living the real American dream where everyone just works their ass off and is miserable. You know, I kind of want to make sure everyone around me enjoys their life. And I think I have the capabilities to, you know, actually become a world champion and make that happen, you know, and we got it times 3. So, I mean, someone's going to hit it, you know.
Yeah,
We're playing a Powerball 3 times, you know.
You are absolutely. I had the Kosey brothers. They're both in the UFC, but I had the Kosey brothers. They're from California, and they hold the distinction of being the first brothers on Dana White's Contender Series that both got contracts on the same night. So it was really cool to have them on before their fight and after their fight to talk about what it means to cheer on brothers. You know, that camaraderie and that love that you have for each other, and also to see how brothers pushing each other can really raise the bar. Now for you, you're already super busy, 50, 60 hours a week as a steel worker. How do you make training work with all the time restraints?
Yeah, so the old man is my boss, my dad. So he works with me a little bit, you know, and that's why, like, it varies, you know. Sometimes I don't even know how many hours I'm working. It's absurd. And then other times he lets me slip out, train, you know, drive out to Danilo's, come into the shop. You know, he gives me ample amount of time, but you know, some days are just long, man. You know, sometimes you just gotta, you know, it's almost like biting down on your mouth guard and just, you know, dealing with it. You know, some days it just sucks. You know, you're working in 90-degree heat, slinging steel with a bunch of guys that might not know what they're doing quite yet, but they're learning. You know, it's tough, but you know, that's the whole lifestyle. My entire lifestyle is toughness. So this sport just makes sense.
It absolutely does. I can't wait to see you in action August 21st. And also, you've got a lot of reps as far as MMA fights go ahead of you to get to the point where you can support your family. So you're signing on for a lot of opportunities, like you said,
Right.
One-on-one. You've got to get through the amateurs. You got to build up a good amateur career and then get into the pro level. And I have a lot of regional pro guys on the show. And then that's more of what you're doing now, which is doing double careers until you can establish yourself. So I think you definitely have the determination and the mindset to get it going. I do want you to come back on the show once you have an opponent. We can talk specifics August 21st. But what's it going to mean to you to not only make your MMA debut, which I know you wanted to do for a year now or longer, but to have it in your own backyard? What's that going to mean to you after all this time to be fighting right there in Johnstown?
Hey, it's like a dream, man. Like I can't even believe it. Like I've been wrestling at the War Memorial since I was a little kid, just thinking, okay, man, we're going to States, baby. And guess what? We're going home to Johnstown, you know? So it was like, yeah, it was a big deal for me growing up, you know, PJW state tournament and being in that arena is just such an awesome place to, you know, have my debut. Like it just makes sense, man. I've wrestled in that arena. I've competed there. I know what it feels like to have a crowd getting excited. It's just, and to do it at home where all the fans can come see all my family and friends. It's just, man, it's just an awesome thing. It's awesome that it's actually happening there and that my little brother made it happen. And a little salty that he had to get the ball rolling, but I'm happy that he got it home for us. And that's where I get to make my debut. So I'm pumped, man.
Well, that's the advantage of being brothers. You win as a team. So if he got something rolling, you might get something rolling in the future, obviously, depending on how things go. So the team, you as brothers, you bring each other up, which is great. And speaking of brothers, I know you're the young one, I guess we can call him, but he's also the biggest. So I won't
He
call
is
him
the
little,
biggest.
but somehow
Little
the little big brother, Toby, let's talk to him. I've got to tell you, well, before we get to him, Tanner, yeah, bring him over. Tanner, your brother, Taylor, told me that Toby is the future heavyweight champion. What, before we ever have him on the show, there he is. There he is with a big smile on his face. What do you say to that? What do you see for your brother once he finishes wrestling, which we'll talk about here in a second? What do you see for him in MMA for the future?
Yeah, well, Tobe's one of those guys that can just pretty much do anything. So I have absolutely no doubt that he could be the heavyweight world champion in fighting if he decides he wants to do that, or professional bass fisherman if he decides to do that. It's just a matter of what avenue Tobe wants to take. Now, I think, at his size and his athletic ability, no one can handle him. I honestly don't even think Derek Lewis could handle him right now. That guy can't even stop a takedown. So, yeah, I mean, this guy's a beast. So.
Talking trash about Derek Lewis. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Guy's a scrub.
My balls is hot.
But yeah, here he is. This is the new heavyweight
All right,
champion.
thanks so much. All right, welcome, Toby. It's great having you on the show. And you are wrestling, your shirt says it, you're wrestling for Buffalo, which is something that your brother wrestled there. Is that what led you to go to Buffalo, Taylor being there and having such a great experience?
Yeah, it was a few things. Obviously, if you get the opportunity to wrestle with your brother or play any Division I sport with your sibling, you got to take that opportunity. That's a no-brainer, especially if you're going to a good school like Buffalo and you can get accepted because it's an R1 research institute. It's a great college. And then a little bit, I didn't think I could obtain my goals at my last school that we were at. Nothing against the people there. There were some great people at Clarion, but I wanted like minds to train around, and I wanted to train around people that wanted to be national champs and All-Americans and put in the work to do so. And I think that home is Buffalo. We have it's like an Iowa style is kind of what I tell people. We just grind. Coach is a little crazy, but I like it. I like the environment. I like that style. It's an easy style to do, and hard to beat.
Well, that's a great catchphrase right there. Tell your coach to start using that on the recruiting. That sells very well. Now you have 2 more years left. So what's it been like this year with the COVID restrictions? I saw your record that you did wrestle a little bit this year, right? But didn't look like a full season. So what was this season like for you, and what do you want for next season?
This season I think was the turning point for me. I didn't get to wrestle at the national tournament because I had a teammate that was neck and neck with me. We were both in the top 33 rank throughout the year. I believe I was 31 or 32 somewhere along the year when I knocked off a national qualifier. And then he just beat me by point in wrestle-offs. And that's just how it happened. I lost in wrestle-offs fair and square. I didn't get to go to the national tournament. But yeah, I have 2 years left now. And I think this year was a big growing point because me and him were at each other's neck every single day. Some days I'd have a better day, some days he would. And it made me a lot better as a wrestler. And this year, I think I'll probably be in the top 20 within the first month of the season, without a doubt. I mean, I have a lot of ranked guys coming up, and I'm planning on beating them.
So you already know your schedule, and you can see ranked guys. So your thought is coming in unranked, you just bump off the ranked guys, and then they'll start to put you in there.
Yeah, I mean, after my I don't know if I can release who we're wrestling first.
That's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, after my first match, I plan to be top 20. Pretty good guy.
Well, I mean, that's incredible to be looking forward to the season and already have those mindsets. Given the fact that you have 2 more years to wrestle and you're already planning on being top 20, what are you looking for this year? And I know the balance is always development of your talents and placement, right? Are you putting more stock right now in placement or talents or both? How do you kind of see that balance?
I think right now my game's there. I think I could get a little stronger, maybe add a few pounds, but in terms of technique, you can never stop learning. And in terms of working hard, you can always work harder. So as long as I keep continuously improving on small areas, but I think the big goal for me is just to stay healthy. And if I stay healthy throughout the year, everyone's going to have a real hard time to beat me.
Well, I mean, that is a great mindset. I can't wait to start following you, because it's always exciting to have somebody on the show and then kind of have an inside connection to see how their career goes. So I'd love to have you back, even if it's following this season as far as wrestling goes. And like your brother Tanner said, you still have some time to decide whether or not you're going to go towards MMA. So we're not going to really jump into that because you can decide to do whatever you do. But obviously, if you do go MMA, we'll have you on the show. We'll follow your career that way. But I wish you the best as far as the wrestling side of things go, because you still, it sounds like, have a lot that you can grow and accomplish at the highest level, Division I wrestling. Oh, it's an Olympic summer. And when the Olympics hit, I basically just watch hours and hours of Olympics. It doesn't matter what it is. I watch skeet shooting, and it doesn't matter what it is. If it's the Olympics, I watch it. How much motivation and excitement do you get from watching the Olympics? Because obviously there's a lot of great, talented wrestlers in there. And is that something that you get excited to watch, to just kind of see the level that they bring?
Honestly, when it comes to like professional, so when I think of Olympics and wrestling, I think that's, professional wrestling. But I also see fighting as that. And I can't really, I don't really enjoy watching wrestling as much as you would think a Division I wrestler would. I kind of give the analogy, does a cop watch live PD?
I don't think so.
No, probably not. So I don't really, I'll watch sometimes, but where I get excited is, fighting more so. And if I would go the next level, because, Division I wrestlers, they either go to normal lives, they fight, or they try to advance in their, international career. But if I would advance, I would definitely go to fighting. And that's kind of what gets me more excited. But I'd definitely go rooting for USA.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I think that's a very honest response. And like you said it, like the only other side that a top level wrestler at Division I goes is coaching, where they can either continue a program or even create a program or get a program at a better level. So there's certainly a lot that people can do with wrestling. But like you said, other than the WWE, which as much as they say professional wrestling, it's not what that actually would entail as a true sport. So for you, I appreciate that. And I think there's a lot that the UFC or MMA in general, because you obviously have Bellator and ONE FC and a bunch of others, 247 Fighting Championships is growing huge. And you guys are going to be a part of that. At least your brothers will be. And in the couple of years you're ready, that's going to be even bigger. And that could be a good thing for you. But it already sounds like you like the application of fighting over international wrestling. So that's kind of an interesting aspect. What's one move in MMA as a wrestler that you would want to do that you can't do? The BJJ coach was on, right? And there are a lot of things that, depending on the style of wrestling, and international wrestling is different than American collegiate wrestling, but what would be a move in MMA grappling that you would love to do that you can't do at your wrestling currently?
That's a good question. I'm not super advanced at jiu-jitsu. I've just been rolling around. They've been teaching me some stuff. I'm probably the most useful would be just a head and arm choke.
Sure.
While you got someone in a headlock. I know that's illegal, and you can put someone's lights out pretty quick with that. So probably the head and arm choke.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're talking about the side triangle choke, head and arm, side triangle choke, Brock Lesnar actually landed that, and I don't think he landed that successfully to stop big heavy-handed guy. Boom, boom, boom. Man, I'm forgetting the name. Shane Carwin. He came to me.
Oh, yeah.
It was there we go. But it was one of those things where I don't think Brock.
What a memory.
Yeah, I don't think Brock spent a ton of time in jujitsu, but it's a very applicable move for a wrestler. You already
yeah.
have the top control, and and so that makes a lot of sense given your experience level. You might end up being the next Frank Mir and just doing crazy ankle locks and leg locks. Who knows? But it's really great. It's really great having you on the show. Let's wrap up by having Taylor back. I appreciate you taking time out. Best wishes this season.
Thank
I'd love
you.
to have you back on. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think?
Hey, it's been great. We're gonna ramp up the show where we started with you, and you got a really nice shout out from your brother Tanner when he said that he's so thankful that you got the ball rolling to get MMA.
Someone's got to do it, right? There's a lot of good guys from the area, a lot of guys that want to do it, a lot of guys that are afraid to say it. So I'm not that guy. I'm always going to say what's on my mind, and I'm going to get the ball rolling. And there's a lot more to come in the future. So. Well,
and what I'd love to do is, as it gets closer, once fights are announced, I'd love to have you and your brother come back on to talk specifics, depending on your matchups and things like that. But just in a general sense, in the month, I already asked the month question to start off, like what was your experience? But now is an even deeper question. In the month since your debut fight, what have you been looking to improve the most in yourself? You don't have to give a ton of details, but in that month, what have you been able to kind of work on in your own training?
So I didn't anticipate the wrap on my hands.
Okay.
So I've been wrapping my hands like crazy, but I've been doing tons of grip work, and then I've been working that bag, so that if I get in a position where my arms are burnt out, I can throw more punches. I want to throw more volume. So I don't think it's going to happen again because I'm going to pace it out. But I would say there was one thing, it would be that. Also, I didn't finish a Darce choke. I should have finished. So just working on the nitty gritty parts of that. And then also, if he does roll out and we get to a north-south like we did, I need to finish a north-south choke as well. And I can't put somebody and put hooks in and get them to their back and then not finish with a rear naked. So there's a lot of things. Also, I crossed my feet on that arm bar, and that's why I didn't get it. So I don't know. I've watched the fight probably at least 100, maybe 200 times, and I've seen every small detail that I've made or every small mistake I've made, and we're correcting it. So it's going to be a completely different fighter.
Well, that is, I think that's really an aspect of repetition and timing. You have so much wrestling experience that in MMA where there's, even at the amateur level, there's a lot going on. At the pro level, there's even more going on. But seeing the opportunities that you missed is big for the mental game, because when you're in there, as you know, you have to be able to attack instantly on stuff. A lot of the submissions you mentioned are really great submissions from a sprawl control. When somebody, when you snap, or a snap down, I guess in wrestling, when you snap somebody down and be able to work a Darce is obviously a huge skill. When somebody rolls out, like you said, to be able to do a north-south, you don't see a lot of north-south chokes in MMA, and I don't really know why, because they do get to that position at times. So it'll be fun to see you starting to kind of develop what works for you in a fight. So it's been great. Now, you mentioned the wraps. Are you just talking about the fact that it stiffened up your wrist and you're used to rolling your wrists more? Is that what made it different?
I think that it cut a lot of blood flow off. And I know even before the fight, that was one thing. Danilo was wrapping my hands, and he was telling me the difference between strikers wrapping their hands and grapplers wrapping their hands. And he's like, we wrap our hands this way because we're grapplers. But I had never really felt it. I had some boxing bouts, but that was a little bit different. And I just think that I wasn't used to the way that the tape was, even though he did an excellent job, and it wasn't that tight. It was a little bit different. So I felt it I think it was the next day or the Monday after. I was in the gym working with one of my buddies from Pittsburgh, and I could feel the same thing. So I know it was that.
Well, and it's sometimes it's those little things. There's going to be, you're still in leg gear, you're still in shin guards, And I know that even makes arm bars. You said you crossed your legs, but shin guards can get kind of in the way for some stuff.
I don't like them.
Yeah. Well,
I want to kick somebody in the head.
well, in the state of Pennsylvania, you can't do that even at the advanced amateur. I don't know if you knew that. You can
I
go.
didn't know.
Yeah, so at advanced amateur, you can go shin guardless, which is a big step. I mean, because then it's shin to shin contact, then, and there's a few more. You can do some submissions on the legs that you can't do. And you can do ground and pound with closed fists. But keep this in mind, in Pennsylvania, elbows to the face, knees to the face, or kicks to the face only happen at the pro level. So advanced amateurs give you ground and pound, but it's only fists, no elbows, no knees, no kicks. So basically in Pennsylvania, now there's other states and there's some other rules around, but in Pennsylvania, only pros have that wide range of tools. But regardless, you're super humble. Like you said, you're straight to the point. You're going to say what's on your mind, which gives you not only a great interview, but it also, I think, just comes from your background, and you don't want to play games. You want to be straight shooting. So I appreciate that. Thanks to your brothers, your coach, and you for coming on. And I love having the shop on, and I can't wait to see you guys represent August 21st at 247 Fighting Championship at the Cambria War Memorial and beyond. Thanks again for taking time out of your day to come on.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thanks
having
for
us.
having
Thanks.
Cahill,
Everyone, we'll have you back on when we're talking matchups. Okay, guys?
sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later. Have a good night.
See ya.
Have a good one. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.